hunters are returning!
They ride faster every season.
It is a good day for our people.
Across the vast rolling plains where buffalo herds moved like ocean waves, the Lakota, Cheyenne, and Blackfoot people understood one simple truth. To live, they had to move with life itself. They had no concept of settlement as the Europeans did, because when the herds moved on, staying behind meant starvation. From that necessity, they created something extraordinary, the teepee, a home both portable and profound, a symbol of human ingenuity perfectly in tune with nature. Imagine having to dismantle your entire house every time the food supply shifted. No trucks, no paved roads, just horses and hands. For the Plains tribes, this wasn't a burden. It was an art of survival. A skilled family could take down their teepee in under an hour, pack everything onto 2 horses, and be on their way. Compared to them, our yearly apartment moves seem almost laughable. But the teepee was far more than a shelter. It was a masterpiece of adaptation and intelligence. While European settlers spent months felling trees and hauling logs, the Plains people made use of the one resource their land offered in abundance: buffalo hide. Every move, every rebuild wasn't loss. It was renewal, a rhythm as natural as the changing seasons. The teepee was more than a mobile home. It was a reflection of a philosophy: to live lightly, move freely, and exist in harmony with the world. Picture yourself standing in the middle of an endless grassland, wind whipping across waist-high prairie grass, the sun blazing, and not a single tree in sight. Out here, where would you find wood for a house? Nowhere. You'd have to travel 50 miles just to find a decent patch of forest. But for the Lakota, Cheyenne, and Blackfoot, that was never a problem. They didn't need wood. They had something better: intelligence and perfect adaptation to the land. Instead of locking themselves inside heavy wooden walls, they built teepees, homes that could move, breathe, and live. In less than an hour, a family could dismantle their entire dwelling, pack it onto 2 horses, and ride after the migrating buffalo. No trucks, no movers, no bubble wrap, just rhythm and freedom. If you've ever complained about moving once a year, the Plains tribes would probably laugh. For them, moving house was a way of life as natural as the wind. The real magic of the teepee lay not just in convenience, but in its flawless engineering. Every pole was cut to standard length, every buffalo hide sewn with precise craftsmanship. The conical shape wasn't aesthetic, it was aerodynamic. It allowed wind to slip around instead of battering against it, making the structure sturdy enough to withstand gusts of up to 70 miles per hour. Long before skyscraper designers studied wind flow, native engineers had already mastered it. And while Europeans exhausted themselves building log homes that decayed and cracked, the Plains people used buffalo hides, renewable, replaceable, and perfectly suited to their world. When a hide wore out, they replaced it. When they moved, they rebuilt. No waste, no ruin, only balance. The teepee wasn't primitive. It was brilliantly efficient, an eco-home centuries ahead of its time. More than a shelter, it embodied a philosophy: to live smart, move lightly, and let nature be your greatest architect. In the world of the Great Plains, every buffalo hide was more than material. It was a piece of life itself. Among endless grass and scarce trees, the Plains tribes turned the one resource nature gave them in abundance, the buffalo, into the foundation of an entire nomadic civilization. From food to clothing to shelter, the buffalo was everything. And from its thick, durable skin, they built the teepee, a triumph of skill, patience, and intelligence. A single teepee required 12 to 20 buffalo hides, each carefully cleaned, stretched, and sewn together using sinew, nature's own thread, tougher than any synthetic fiber. Every stitch connected not just hides, but generations of wisdom passed through the hands of women, the true architects of the plains. They knew how to tan the hides so they repelled water, how to cut them so the wind couldn't enter, and how to pitch the poles so the structure stood strong even in storms. When rain fell, the hides would tighten, creating a natural waterproof shell. But it wasn't just strength, it was design genius. Every component was modular and replaceable. A torn hide? Swap it. A broken pole? Replace it. No demolition required. The teepee was, quite literally, the first modular home. While Europeans spent months constructing a single log house, a native family could build theirs in a few hours, a warm, flexible, sustainable home that could move wherever life led. This wasn't mere survival, it was sustainable philosophy. They didn't cut down forests or reshape the land. They adapted to it. They lived in partnership with nature, not opposition. From the hides of the buffalo, they created not just shelter, but a living symbol of harmony between humanity and the earth. A masterpiece born of simplicity and respect. If you've ever stood in the Great Plains, you know that nature there doesn't whisper, it roars. One moment the sun scorches at 100 degrees Fahrenheit, the next the wind cuts to your bones. Rain crashes down, thunder shakes the earth, and within hours, the sky clears again. In a land that, unpredictable, a permanent house would be a prison. The teepee, however, was born to dance with the elements, not fight them. The Plains tribes were engineers of wind and fire. When the sun blazed, they rolled up the bottom of the hide covering, instantly creating a natural air conditioner that let cool breezes swirl through. In winter, they dropped the edges, added an extra layer of hides, even adjusted the pole angles so snow slid right off. A few quick tweaks, and the teepee became a cozy fortress against 40 below winters. Its conical shape was more than aesthetic, it was aerodynamic brilliance. While log houses resisted wind and broke under pressure, the teepee allowed air to flow around it, dispersing force. Modern tests show it could withstand 70 miles per hour winds, nearly the same as modern building codes require. Long before skyscrapers bent to the science of airflow, the Plains tribes had already mastered it. When rain poured, the hides tightened, creating a nearly waterproof seal. Any droplets that slipped through ran harmlessly down the slanted walls. Inside, the central fire glowed, its smoke funneled through two adjustable flaps. The smoke flaps, a primitive yet genius ventilation system. Modern wind tunnel experiments even found that these flaps created a low-pressure zone above the teepee, pulling smoke out naturally, the same principle used in today's HVAC designs. The teepee didn't resist weather, it lived with it. When the wind howled, it bent. When the rain came, it sealed itself. Every pole and every hide was a testament to human wisdom in harmony with nature. In a world where survival demanded adaptation, the Plains tribes chose the smarter path, not to conquer nature, but to build a home that breathed with it. Imagine sitting inside a teepee at dusk, the fire flickering, wind humming through the grass outside. No concrete, no machines, yet perfectly warm, perfectly calm. That was life for the Plains tribes, people who built homes so comfortable and efficient that modern engineers are still astonished. To most outsiders, a teepee might look primitive. In truth, it was a climate control masterpiece. On scorching days, the base of the hide could be lifted to let air flow freely. By nightfall, when temperatures dropped, it was lowered to trap warmth. A well-made teepee could maintain a 25 degrees Fahrenheit difference between inside and out, without a single watt of electricity. The heart of the home burned a small fire, not just for cooking, but as part of a natural ventilation cycle. Warm air and smoke rose through the top flaps while fresh air was drawn in from below, keeping the atmosphere clean and breathable. Studies have shown that a properly built teepee actually had better air exchange than many modern homes with central ventilation systems. Comfort lay in every detail. The buffalo hides formed thick, breathable insulation. The inner liner reflected heat back into the space, reduced drafts, and created an insulating air gap, like a modern double wall. Even bedding made of grasses and hides formed natural cushions, aligning to the body and reducing joint pain, the original memory foam, centuries before it was invented. Insects and pests were rarely a problem. The smoke acted as a natural repellent, and the hides offered no attraction to termites or wood-boring insects. The acoustics were serene. Sound carried softly, voices could be heard across the room, while the howling winds outside faded to a whisper. If we call modern houses smart, then the teepee was the original smart home, powered not by electricity, but by wisdom. With no tools but knowledge and nature's gifts, the Plains tribes built homes that were mobile, sustainable, and incredibly efficient. The teepee wasn't just a place to live. It was a living philosophy, proof that true comfort doesn't come from technology, but from harmony. Picture an evening on the Great Plains. The sun sinking low, fires flickering, and dozens of teepees glowing like lanterns arranged in a perfect circle. Children laugh, elders tell stories, and in the heart of every home burns the same fire, the fire of family, of community. To the Plains tribes, the teepee was more than a shelter. It was a living symbol of unity, belonging, and shared life. Unlike square houses with walls and corners, the teepee was a circle open, balanced, inclusive. Inside, no one sat apart. Everyone faced each other around the central fire. That shape turned the interior into a universe of connection, where generations met, where conversations flowed, where life pulsed as one rhythm. The Plains people understood something that modern society often forgets. A home is not just a structure, but a space for the soul. The fire at the center wasn't only warmth, it was the family's spirit. Around it, parents told stories, children listened, and lessons of courage, respect, and wisdom passed from one generation to the next. The firelight illuminated faces, not screens. Words weren't texted, they were felt. Within those circles, the tribe's history lived on. Every teepee faced east, greeting the rising sun. A daily renewal, a quiet reminder of connection to the universe. No matter which family's teepee you entered, the layout was familiar. Sleeping space here, storage there, fire in the center. This order created instant comfort and belonging, a home anywhere under the sky. And beyond the individual family, the teepee embodied the spirit of community. During festivals or gatherings, hundreds of teepees would form vast rings across the plains, uniting families into one living village. There were no rich or poor, no big houses or small ones, only circles of equality and shared purpose. Privacy, too, had its grace. A hide curtain could create a temporary partition. Belongings arranged along the walls formed natural boundaries. It was flexible, fluid, alive like life itself. When a young couple married, they didn't need to save for a mortgage. They simply built their own teepee beside their parents, expanding the family circle. The village grew like ripples in water, each new home part of a greater whole. Today, surrounded by walls, screens, and silence, we can see what the teepee truly represented. Connection over isolation, warmth over distance. The Plains tribes didn't just build homes. They built relationships, stories, and a culture that understood something timeless. To live well is not to live alone, but to live together. Imagine a modern architect proudly presenting a new green design, sustainable, energy efficient, climate responsive, only to realize that the native tribes of the Great Plains had already mastered those principles centuries ago. With no concrete, no steel, no electricity, they created the teepee, an eco-architectural marvel that still humbles today's designers. Every part of the teepee was a study in ingenuity. This conical shape let fierce prairie winds glide smoothly around it. Buffalo hides, when wet, tightened to form a natural waterproof shield. The smoke flaps at the top acted as automatic ventilation systems, drawing smoke out and fresh air in. The layered hides trapped heat in winter, released it in summer, just like modern double-wall insulation. Even the pole angles could be adjusted seasonally, transforming the structure itself into a living, breathing organism. Today, architects and environmental engineers are rediscovering the teepee as a model of sustainable design, efficient, adaptable, and completely in harmony with nature. While modern civilization builds walls to block out the world, the Plains tribes built homes that moved with it. They didn't try to dominate their environment. They designed alongside it. The teepee wasn't just shelter. It was a philosophy built in hide and wood, a declaration of intelligence and respect for the earth. And perhaps, in our age of consumption and noise, the wisdom of the teepee whispers to us still, that the smartest way to live is not to conquer nature, but to breathe with it.